Introduction of the M16 rifle. The M16 rifle is officially designated as caliber 5.56 mm rifle. The M16 is a family of military rifles adapted from the Armalite AR-15 rifle for the United States military. The original M16 rifle was a 5.56 mm automatic rifle with a 20-round magazine.
The M16 rifle has also been widely adopted by other armed forces around the world. Total worldwide production of M16s is approximately 8 million, making it the most produced firearm of its 5.56 mm caliber. The US military has largely replaced the M16 in frontline combat units with a shorter and lighter version, which is the M4 carbine.
The M16's barrel length is 20 inches or 508 millimeters. The M16's maximum firing range is 3,600 meters or 3,937 yards. The M16's effective firing range is 550 meters or 601 yards at point target and 800 meters or 875 yards at area target. The M16's caliber is 5.56 millimeters. The M16 is still in service from 1964 up until now. The M16's length is 39.5 inches or 1,003 millimeters. The M16's rate of fire is 700 to 950 rounds per minute cyclic sustained and 45 to 60 rounds per minute semi-automatic.
History of the M16 rifle. The M16 rifle was an officially designated rifle, caliber 5.56 millimeters. The M16 is a family of military rifles adapted from the Armalite AR-15 rifle for the United States military, and the original one was a 5.56 millimeters automatic rifle with a 20-round magazine. In 1964, the M16 entered U.S. military service, and the following year it was deployed during the Vietnam War. In 1983, the U.S. Marine Corps adopted the M16A2 rifle, and the U.S. Army adopted it in 1986. Adopted in July of 1997, the M16A4 is the fourth generation of the M16 series. It is equipped with a removable carrying handle and Picatinny rail for mounting optics and other ancillary devices. The M16 has also been widely adopted by other armed forces around the world. Total worldwide production of M16s is approximately 8 million, making it the most produced firearm of its 5.56 mm caliber. 64. The M16 entered U.S. military service, and the following year it was deployed during the Vietnam War. In 1983, the U.S. Marine Corps adopted the M16A2 rifle, and the U.S. Army adopted it in 1986. Adopted in July of 1997, the M16A4 is the fourth generation of the M16 series. It is equipped with a removable carrying handle and Picatinny rail for mounting optics and other ancillary devices. The M16 has also been widely adopted by other armed forces around the world. Total worldwide production of M16s is approximately 8 million, making it the most produced firearm of its 5.56 mm caliber. In 1969, the M16A1 replaced the M14 rifle to become the U.S. military standard service rifle. The M16A1 improvements include a bolt assist, chrome-plated bore, and a 30-round magazine. As mentioned earlier, the total worldwide production of this is 8 million, and has largely replaced the M16 in frontline combat units with a shorter and lighter version, the M4 carbine. The M16A2 fires the improved 5.56 by 45 mm NATO cartridge and has a newer adjustable rear sight, case deflector, heavy barrel, improved handguard, pistol grip, and buttstock. as well as a semi-auto and 3-round bust-fire selector. In 1928, a U.S. Army Caliber Board conducted firing tests at Aberdeen Proving Grounds and recommended transitioning to smaller caliber rounds, mentioning in particular, though largely in deference to tradition, this recommendation was ignored and the Army referred to the .30 caliber as full-sized for the next 35 years. After World War II, the United States military started looking for a single automatic rifle to replace the M1 Garand, M1 M2 carbines, M1918 Browning automatic rifle, M3 grease gun, and Thompson submachine gun. However, early experiments with select-fire versions of the M1 Garand proved disappointing. During the Korean War, the select-fire M2 carbine largely replaced the submachine gun in U.S. service and became the most widely used carbine variant. However, combat experience suggested that the .30 carbine round was underpowered. American weapons designers concluded that an intermediate round was necessary and recommended a small caliber, high-velocity cartridge. The Army then began testing several rifles to replace the obsolete M1. Springfield Armory's T-44 and heavier T-44E5 were essentially updated versions of the M1 chambered for the new 7.62mm round. While Fabrique Nationale submitted their FN FAL, or Fabrique Automatique Légère in French, or the light armored rifle as the T-48 in English, Armalite entered the competition late, hurriedly submitting several AR-10 prototype rifles in the fall of 1956 to the U.S. Army Springfield Armory for testing. The AR-10 featured an innovative straight-line, barrel or stock design, forged aluminum alloy receivers, and with phenolic composite stocks. It had rugged elevated sights, an oversized aluminum flash suppressor, and recoil compensator. The final prototype featured an upper and lower receiver, with the now familiar hinge and takedown pins, and the charging handle was on top of the receiver, placed inside of the carry handle. For a 7.62mm NATO rifle, the AR-10 was incredibly lightweight at only 6.85 pounds. Initial comments by Springfield Armory test staff were favorable, and some testers commented that the AR-10 was the best lightweight automatic rifle ever tested by the Armory. In the end, the U.S. Army chose the T-44, now named M14 Rifle, which was an improved M1 Garand with a 20-round magazine and automatic fire capability. The U.S. also adopted the M60 General Purpose Machine Gun, or GPMG. Its NATO partners adopted the FN or FAL and HK G3 rifles, as well as the FN MAG and Rain Metal MG3 GPMGS. The Army then began.
Initial comments by Springfield Armory test staff were favorable, and some testers commented that the AR-10 was the best lightweight automatic rifle ever tested by the Armory. In the end, the U.S. Army chose the T-44, now named M14 Rifle, which was an improved M1 Garand with a 20-round magazine and an automatic fire capability. The U.S. also adopted the M60 General Purpose Machine Gun, GPMG. Its NATO partners adopted the FN FAL and HK G3 rifles, as well as the FN MAG and Rheinmetall MG3 GPMGS. The first confrontations between the AK-47 and the M14 came in the early part of the Vietnam War. Battlefield reports indicated that the M14 was uncontrollable in full auto and that soldiers could not carry enough ammunition to maintain fire superiority over the AK-47. And while the M2 carbine offered a high rate of fire, it was underpowered and ultimately outclassed by the AK-47. A replacement was needed, a medium between the traditional preference for high-powered rifles such as the M14 and the lightweight firepower of the M2 carbine. As a result, the Army was forced to reconsider a 1957 request by General Willard G. Wyman, commander of the U.S. Continental Army Command, CONARC, to develop a 223-inch caliber or 5.56 millimeter select fire rifle weighing 6 pounds or 2.7 kilograms when loaded with a 20-round magazine. The 5.56mm round has to penetrate a standard U.S. helmet at 500 yards or 460 meters and retain a velocity in excess of the speed sound, while matching or exceeding the wounding ability of a .30 carbine cartridge. In 1958, the Army's Combat Development Experimentation Command ran experiments with small squads in combat situations using the M14, AR-15, and another rifle designed by Winchester. The resulting study recommended adopting a lightweight rifle like the AR-15. In response, the Army declared that all rifles and machine guns should use the same ammunition and ordered full production of the M14. However, advocates for the AR-15 gained the attention of Air Force Chief of Staff General Curtis LeMay. After testing the AR-15 with the ammunition manufactured by Remington that Armalite and Colt recommended, the Air Force declared that the AR-15 was its standard model and ordered 8,500 rifles and 8.5 million rounds. Advocates for the AR-15 in the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency acquired 1,000 Air Force AR-15s and shipped them to be tested by the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, ARVN. The South Vietnam soldiers issued glowing reports of the weapon's reliability, recording 0 broken parts while firing 80,000 pounds in one stage of testing and requiring only 2 replacement parts for the 1,000 weapons over the entire course of testing. The report of the experiment recommended that the U.S. provide the AR-15 as the standard rifle of the ARVN, but Admiral Harry Phelps, then Commander-in-Chief, Pacific Forces, rejected the recommendations on the advice of the U.S. Army. After modifications, the new redesigned rifle was subsequently adopted as the M16 rifle. The M16 was much lighter compared to the M14 it replaced, ultimately allowing soldiers to carry more ammunition. The air-cooled, gas-operated, magazine-fed assault rifle was made of steel, aluminum alloy, and composite plastics, truly cutting-edge for the time. Designed with full and semi-automatic capabilities, the weapon initially did not respond well to wet and dry conditions, sometimes even jamming in combat. After a few minor modifications, the weapon gained popularity among troops on the battlefield. Despite its early failures, the M16 proved to be a revolutionary design and stands as the longest continuously serving rifle in the U.S. military history. It has been adopted by many U.S. allies, and the 5.56 by 45mm NATO cartridge has become not only the NATO standard, but the standard assault rifle cartridge in much of the world. It also led to the development of small-caliber, high-velocity service rifles by every major army in the world. It is a benchmark against which other assault rifles are judged. M16s were produced by a Colt until the late 1980s, when F.N. Herstal began to manufacture them.
The shoulder stock can extend the range of your gun, making it effective at longer distances. This will allow you to make more rapid shots, and it provides a means for the shooter to firmly brace the gun and easily aim its stability by being held against the user's shoulder when shooting the gun. Scopes are basically metal tubes with lenses, and it has a simple and straightforward function to help you aim and shoot a static or moving target. Also gathers light to brighten the image, uses mirrors and lenses to magnify the target, and does away with aligning rear and front sights. It provides the most accurate aiming.
Rear swing swivel is a type of mounting point used for attaching slings as well as bipods to rifles. This allows quick removal of the swing when the receiver is separate. Pistol grip is the portion of the mechanism that is held by the hand and orients the hand in a forward, and for firearms, and the pistol grip is generally used by the hand that operates the trigger.
Trigger is a mechanism that actuates the firing sequence of a firearm, air gun, crossbow, or spear gun, and a small amount of energy applied to the trigger causes the release of much more energy. Firearms use triggers to initiate the firing of a cartridge seated within the gun barrel chamber. The magazine, or in other words, cartridge slip. The magazine is designed to store and feed cartridges to the firearm's action. Magazines come in many shapes and sizes, with the most common type in modern firearms being the detachable box type.
Gun sight includes the simple iron sights on pistols and the more complex front and rear sights on target and high-powered sporting rifles. It gives an arrangement of sights that makes the possible rapid aiming of a firearm at short ranges. This also aids accuracy, allowing the shooter to manage well-placed shots. Many riflemen prefer the angled foregrip for its enhanced control provided in rapid-fire situations. By placing your hand closer to the rail of the rifle, your form is drawn more firmly into your shoulder, and tension in the hands is reduced. This helps combat muzzle climb, which allows for greater precision over a series of rounds.
Barrel. The barrel protrudes outward, and it is the long metal tube where the bullet travels through a gun barrel. It is characterized by increasing acceleration as the expanding gases push on it, but decreasing pressure in the barrel as the gas expands.
A handguard, also known as the fore-end or forearm, on firearms is a barrel shroud specifically designed to allow the user a more frontal grip of the weapon. It provides a safe, heat-insulated surface for the user's hand to firmly hold onto without needing to worry about getting burnt by the barrel, which may become very hot when firing. An upper sling swivel is used for attaching slings to rifles, which allows the rifle to be carried around for convenience. The system consists of a push-button swivel attached to the sling, which is placed into a mounting socket on the firearm. An upper
Slip rings are parts of stabilized gun systems, laser target acquisition, and fire control systems, and they manage high bandwidth data communications between rotating and stationary parts. The ejection port is an open hole on the gun that allows bullet cases to escape after they split from the action. This is an important part of any firearm, including any rifles you may own. However, that means, like with any other part of your gun, you need to clean it, protect it, and take care of it. Ejection port.
In this section of our group presentation, we are going to discuss on how to assemble an M16 rifle. Check if your rifle is serviceable and pleasant. Take note to clean and lubricate every part of your rifle so that they function correctly. In
the following slides, make sure to prepare every part of your disassembled rifle with you. Be mindful to make every step of your assembling precise. The following are the steps to assemble your M16 rifle.
First step, insert buffer and string. These parts are located in the handguard area of the rifle. Second step, conjoin the upper and lower receivers. The two receivers can also be known as the two main houses of the rifle. The upper portion contains the barrel and bolt, while the lower portion carries the firing mechanism and the magazine. Third step, engage receiver pivot pin. We push the extractor pin in to lock in the parts. Ensure the selector lever is on safe before closing the upper receiver. close the upper and lower receiver groups. Push in the takedown pin. Fourth step, put on handguards. These are notched to permit air to circulate around the barrel and further serve to protect the gas tube.
Fifth step, snap on sling. Slings is essential in helping you to hold your rifle securely and safely. Sixth step, insert extractor and spring. If the spring comes loose, put the large end of the spring in the extractor and seat. In doing so, depress the extractor and to align the holes and reinsert the extractor pin. Seventh step, push in extractor pin. This pin is pushed in vertically. Be sure to push it in thoroughly. Eighth step, slide bolt into carrier. Be sure to slide the bolt safely and tightly.
Ninth step, put in the bolt cam pin. Insert the bolt cam pin into the carrier and into the bolt. Rotate the cam pin 1/4, turn right or left. Pull the bolt forward until it stops. Drop in and seat. Drop in the firing pin to seat it. After that, put the firing pin retaining in the bolt carrier to seat it. 11th step, pull the bolt back. 12th step, put in the pin to secure the carrier.
13th step, hook in then push charging handle part way. Place the charging handle by engaging it. Then push the charging handle part of the way in. 14th step, slide in bolt carrier. Push or slide the bolt carrier of your M16 rifle into the upper receiver until the charging handle locks. 15th step, shove in the charging handle and bolt carrier together in the upper receiver until it is also locked in. Then, join the upper and lower receivers of the rifle. Final step, push in the takedown pin, engage the receiver pivot pin, and you're done with assembling your M16 rifle.
The disassembly of a rifle. This presentation will refer to the M16A1 rifle. Disassembling a rifle requires great precaution and physical strength. Wearing protective gear is extremely encouraged. Certain tools will be needed such as screwdrivers, wrenches, and hammers. There will be 19 steps in disassembling an M16A1 rifle. Step number 1, removing the ammunition. If the rifle is loaded, removing the ammunition is very vital. You must hold onto the rifle tightly and grip on the charging handle. Pull the charging handle toward you to remove the ammunitions. Repeat until all of the ammunitions are removed. Step number 2, removing the magazine. The magazine in firearms is an ammunition storage and feeding device for a repeating firearm. In this step, you must point your rifle in a safe direction. Press the button on the side of the hand grip to eject the magazine. Verify if the rifle is fully unloaded and the round is not still in the chamber. Step number 3, removing handguards. To remove the handguards, you must push the slip ring of the rifle and remove them one by one carefully. Step number 4 is to pivot the upper receiver from the lower receiver. To pivot the upper receiver from the lower receiver, you must push the takedown pin as far as it goes.
Step 5. Pull back charging handle and bolt carrier. In this step, you'll pull the small lever at the side of the rifle. Step 6. Remove bolt carrier and bolt. After removing the lever, you need to remove the bolt carrier. Step 7. Remove charging handle. After removing the bolt, you need to remove the lever where you cock the bullet to fire. Step 7.
Step number 8 is removing firing pin retaining pin. First, we're going to pull out the firing pin retaining pin. This is a small cutter pin-like affair that is recessed into the side of the bolt. Using a punch, pry it out. A word about this pin. It is a hardened pin. If it breaks somehow, you'll need to get another M16 specific pin. Just going to the NAPA and getting a cutter pin won't work. Those are soft, malleable metal and will break very quickly. Firing pin, retaining pins are cheap, so there's no reason not to buy a few of these expendable parts and have extras. This pin, as the name suggests, retains the firing pin in the bolt housing. Removing it allows us to pop out the firing pin, which, depending on your level of gunkiness, may drop right out or need to be pried out. Step number 9, which is putting the bolt assembly in lock position. You can do that by pushing in the bolt. Moving on to the next step, which is step number 10, removing the firing pin through rear of bolt carrier. This step can be done by pressing out the fire retaining pin from right to left. Elevate the front of the bolt carrier and allow the firing pin to drop free from its recess in the bolt. Rotate the bolt until the cam pin is clear of the bolt carrier key. And remove the cam pin by rotating the head 90 degrees in either direction. Lift out of well in the bolt and bolt carrier. After the cam pin is removed, the bolt can be removed from its recess in the bolt carrier and the disassembly of the bolt carrier group is complete.
Step 11. Remove the bolt cam pin. First, push the bolt assembly into the bolt carrier group. Then rotate the bolt cam pin 90 degrees and pull it out. Step 12. Remove the bolt assembly. Carefully pull it out from the bolt carrier group to remove the bolt assembly. Step 13. Remove the extractor pin. To remove the extractor pin, carefully pull it out from the bolt assembly.
Step number 14. Removal of extractor and spring. The description and explanation of this step. This step is part of the disassembly of a M16 rifle. In this step, we remove the extractor and spring of a M16 rifle. An extractor and spring is used in the recoiling of the rifle itself. We remove these parts for us to clean these parts because if we don't, lint and dust will be in there and they will block the pathway and there will be problems on reloading or in the recoiling of the rifle. In this reason, the rifle may not work properly, rendering it useless. So basically, in this step, we are just removing the extractor and spring as shown on the picture, because if we don't, lint will collect in there and they will destruct the rifle and the rifle won't make recoiling correctly. So that is the function of this. Step number 15. Removal of sling. The description or explanation of this step. The sling is the one that is encircled in the picture. Its primary function is that it is designed to allow a shooter to conveniently carry a firearm. So it is usually a long gun, such as the rifle, carbine, shotgun, or submachine gun, on their body and or to aid in greater hit probability by allowing the firearm to be better braced and stabilized during aiming. It doesn't need much cleaning as it is a strap only and used for carrying the rifle. So as we can see on the picture, it is only a sling on the rifle, so it doesn't need to be cleaned because it is only a sling and it is only used to carry, so it is not necessarily needed to remove this. So, but it is part of the disassembly process of the rifle. We are done on the previous steps. So, the next is step number 16. Pushing of receiver and pivot pin.
The receiver and pivot pin are the one box in the picture. These parts are used for the button has the correct contour to give your rifle an extra level of detail accuracy. It is also used on the Brownell's M16 BRN601 retro lower receiver. So its reason? So this lower accurately replicates the original model 601 receiver so closely that it does not have the modern magazine fence to allow use of a modern AR-15 detent spring and pin. So it is necessary to be removed because it is part of the reloading process of the overall rifle. So as we can see on the picture, the one box on the top is the pivot pin and the under is the receiver. So these parts are used for the reloading of the ammo. So this is where we reload. So it is necessary really to remove them because they are part of the disassembly process and so that is it.
Step 17. Separate the upper receivers and the lower receivers. The receivers can be easily separated by releasing the back pin, which can be found just above the pistol grip, and the front pin, which is near to the magazine. Step 18. Press in buffer, the press retainer, and release buffer. Press the little button, which is seen next to buffer spring, in order for it to pop out. After the buffer spring pop out, simply hold the retainer in order to fully pull out the buffer and the spring. Step 19. Remove the buffer and spring. Simply separate the buffer tube and spring and store it somewhere safe for maintenance and inspection. Step 9.